62 years ago, the world stood on the brink of a nuclear Armageddon when the Soviet Union stationed nuclear missiles in Cuba. Now, in 2024, the Cuban Ministry of Defence has announced that 3 Russian naval vessels, including Russia's newest Yasen-class nuclear-powered cruise missile submarine, will arrive in Havana next week. The Cubans say that the Russian vessels will not be carrying any nuclear weapons. So why is Putin deploying a nuclear submarine at Biden's doorstep? News9 Plus Decodes. According to the Cuban Ministry of Defence, 3 Russian naval vessels will be arriving in the port of Havana the next week. The visit will kick off a military exercise in the Caribbean. Now, the presence of a Russian nuclear submarine just 120 miles off the coast of Florida is sure to raise some heckles in the US. After all, the situation is reminiscent of the 1962 Cuban Missile Crisis, when the USSR placed nuclear missiles in Cuba. Can this lead to an escalation of tensions between the US and Russia? News of the Russian naval expedition to Cuba follows Republican Senator Mike Round's confirmation that on April 17, US-made weapons such as the Army tactical missile systems struck a Russian airfield in Crimea, just 155 kilometers from the Ukrainian front line. Earlier, US missiles were only used defensively and within Ukrainian territory. This, however, has changed after President Joe Biden authorized their usage against targets in Russia for defending Kharkiv. Now, the Cuban Ministry of Defence has clarified that none of these vessels carry any nuclear weapons. The Russian nuclear submarine in question, the Kazan 561, is a Yasen-class nuclear-powered attack submarine which carries conventional missiles only. How many kinds of nuclear submarines do we know of? 2 kinds: the nuclear-powered ballistic missile submarines, or the SSBNs, and nuclear-powered attack submarines, or the SSNs. SSBNs carry nuclear weapons, while SSNs only use conventional weapons. However, the presence of a nuclear-powered submarine in America's backyard does send a strategic message from Russia. What is the hidden message behind Putin's latest move? When news broke that the Ukrainians are using American-made weapons on Russian territory, Putin warned that supplying Ukraine with long-range missiles could provoke retaliatory measures from Russia. This would include deploying similar missiles near the US and its allies. In 1962, the Cuban Missile Crisis brought the US and the Soviet Union on the brink of a nuclear showdown. However, diplomacy and statesmanship by the US President John F. Kennedy and the Soviet Premier Nikita Khrushchev helped de-escalate the situation. That is perhaps what the world needs today.